your Dad Show. Ooh, JJ and Deacon, they're the ones in the know. Subscribe quick, the Squid Monster's on the way. Inspire with us, tomorrow's news today. Tomorrow, yeah.
News like Donald Trump told all of the libertarians, vote for me or keep losing. You know, whatever you want to do. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are your internet dads. That's Deacon. I'm JJ, and we're here Monday through Friday to drink coffee and read the news and other stuff. You're gonna get scientific information like listen to that sip. Nice. You're going to get scientific information like you never heard before. You're going to get political commentary like you never heard before. You're going to get hilarious jokes like you never heard before, though they may not be good.
What show are you watching again?
I'm just trying. Like, how do I sell this? I got to sell this.
Can
you guys just hit subscribe, please?
You're doing a good job. I'm proud of you. Good morning, sir.
Right.
How was your weekend?
It was a good weekend. First of all, been to the pool a bunch of times with my kids. That's more than I wanted to go, but they're happy, so we're doing that. Awesome. I got into a Twitter conversation with some libertarians after their convention, and that was kind of fun too. So
you like to go up to the sleeping bear and just and poke it with a stick and just.
What are you guys doing?
You're not trying to.
Are you guys gonna do the stupidest thing you can, or
yeah, that's what you do. You're like, hey, are you sleeping? Hey, are you sleeping? You're that guy.
Are you enjoying this weekend? Because I saw in the news, it looked like you guys were about to do the stupidest thing you could ever do.
That's what you would. If I fell asleep, you would wait. Deke, are you asleep?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asleep.
Hey, man, I don't want to wake you up, but I don't know if did you see this?
Did you see what?
What? How's your weekend, sir? Hey, it's Monday, but first off, it's Monday and it's Memorial Day. So obviously you're still at work because you do radio, but yes. There's a lot of people out there that have lost a lot of loved ones for liberty and freedom over these many, many years. So yes, we all tip our hat.
To be 16-year-old son on Wednesday was laying there on the love seat last night, and we were fixing to go to bed. And I said, son, I know you have such a huge, humongous, busy day tomorrow with doing all this and texting and FaceTiming and all this mess, TikToking and all this mess. I said, but please take just a moment to silently thank all of the people that died so that you could lay your butt here on the couch and watch your videos. I was trying to be, but I was being serious. What was your
overall message? No, be grateful.
I was trying to be serious. Be grateful of these people. My great uncle, my grandfather. Let me tell you a story real quick because we got a bunch of little B stories. This will take just
a bunch of little stories.
My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, my mom's dad, had one brother. He was 18 years old when he died in 1945. July the 20th, 1945 is when my uncle, Joe Novice Cornwell was his name. And Joe Novice Cornwell died 33 years before I was born. And there's not very many people in my family that know this story because all that we knew was that he died on an aircraft carrier. He was a signal man or whatnot on an aircraft carrier, and he died. And that's what we were always told. But me being, me and like history and always asking why, I wanted to know, my grandfather's only brother. And I ended up scouring the internet for a long time. And the only thing that I could find, I knew what date he died because I know where his gravestone is. It's just an empty grave, but his gravestone's there. And I knew what date he died. And I ended up finding, through searching the internet, I ended up finding these Rear Admiral notes, the notes from one of the Rear Admirals. And after the Battle of Midway, when we seized the Midway Islands, our military was running scouting missions, and it was also running bombing missions and bombing some factories and whatnot in Japan. And so I could find the Rear Admiral's notes from I could find the notes from like a week before he died and a couple of weeks after he died, but the admiral hadn't wrote anything in between. So I always assumed that he had died on one of those bombing runs or somehow. I don't know. Well, about 5 years ago, my uncle came up to me at one of our family gatherings and said, "I have something for you in my truck." And he went out to his truck and he got this folded up old piece of newspaper article that some old lady that I'd never heard of had passed away, and her family was going through all of her pictures and stuff, and she had it up, she had this folded up piece of newspaper from 1950 that she had folded in something for 60, 70 years. And they
Right.
found, and they were like, Cornwell, oh, well, we know Jewel, my uncle. Well, let's give it to him. Maybe he knows. Well, that was his uncle. And it told the whole story. He was a flagman on the aircraft carrier. An aircraft was coming in and it was damaged. And when it got beside him and was landing, it came apart, exploded, and hit a fuel cell that was next to him, and and anyway, he died. He burned to death there. So I was wanting to talk about that this Memorial Day, but I'd rather talk to Jill. Is it Jill or Lily? I can't see their face. I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So my girls have decided to invade the show.
Yay!
Mommy told us to.
Yeah, mom told
Hi.
you to. That's your mom's funny. Here, come on up.
Daddy, where's there tons of brains, Dad?
Why are there tons of brains? Because those are sleeping brains.
Because we need
Those
brains.
brains are sleeping.
Why?
Because your dad thinks things like that are funny. Okay. Put your
dad
shirt
is
back on.
weird.
Put your shirt back on. What are you doing? All right, girls. Deacon can hear you even if you can't hear him. Okay, please stop putting the. Okay. So, good morning. Do you want to say good morning to everybody that's watching?
Mm.
Uh-huh. Like that. All right.
How
All right.
school?
Here is. Wait. Let me make it where they can hear you. Give me a second, Joe.
Hello.
All
right. Let me see. Nope.
Hello.
No. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
All right.
Hi, Deacon.
Stop touching the keyboard.
Hello,
And
Lily.
good morning, girls.
What you doing?
Can you make a duck noise?
Okay.
No,
Oh, okay.
sorry. I didn't.
How can you do that, Uncle Deacon?
I don't know. I'm weird.
Stop kicking stuff. Stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
Say bye to Uncle
You're kicking
Deacon.
everything.
Bye. I'm so glad to
All right.
see you.
All right. You guys come back closer to the end of it. Not in the
What's the
beginning of
frog's
show.
name? I forgot to ask the frog's name. What's the frog's name?
It's like a
It is
Bye.
a chameleon.
Oh, it's a chameleon. That's cool.
All right. Good. So, please continue the story of your uncle's passing. So, I had no control over that.
That was great. That was
no,
great.
that was
No,
that was the
No, I
most
love
inappropriate-
seeing the girls, man. I didn't get to see
I
the
know.
girls that often anymore because they're
I
in school and
know.
stuff. So that was awesome. That was awesome.
You
I was
were
just trying to
delivering
just to wrap
real
it all up
story.
here because that was a great interruption. I will
Oh
gladly
my
stop.
god!
But just
That is-
remember those who have fallen. My great uncle, I never knew him, but I think about him all the time. And he was 18 years old when he passed, and I'm fixing to be 47 years old. He was
Yeah.
18 years old.
You have
He was
lived
a baby.
twice the life that he had.
Yes,
that he had the
yes.
opportunity to.
Yeah. So just remember, he never had a chance. you
Yeah,
know, and he was drafted. He didn't choose to
Yeah.
do all that.
yeah.
So,
And
just remember-
I mean, I worry for the days that when the draft comes back because, like, that will happen. That will happen. They
Yeah,
will do
man.
that again.
Alex and I have had that conversation a couple of times, and he would be all for it. But I told him, I was like, I couldn't. I'm
Oh.
too old, and even if I wanted to volunteer, it would strictly be like I'm the dude that sits in the room, and I can't do any fighting. I'm not. I'm not a
I mean,
fighter.
like at a certain point, they don't even care. They don't, and you can see it right now. Because in Ukraine, I believe they've killed so many Ukrainian men that they raised the draft age that they're drafting up to the 40s or 50s, and now they're drafting women in Ukraine. Women are being drafted to be sent to the front line for this pointless war. So, I mean, don't think that those in power won't absolutely sacrifice you. They absolutely will. You, me, our kids, they don't care. They don't really care.
So coming up in the show, I've got a little story about maybe some new armor
Oh, yeah.
that we could use for the
Yeah.
war in
Okay.
Ukraine. It works.
All right. Let's cover some news for real quick. So if you were not paying attention over this weekend, and I don't blame you if you weren't, the Libertarian National Convention was held, and they invited RFK Jr. to speak, and they invited Donald Trump to speak at the Libertarian Party.
Wow.
Yeah, both these guys, they went
Now,
to the
wait a
Libertarian
minute.
Party.
Did some random judge in Idaho allow Donald Trump to be able to speak at this?
Oh,
How
wait.
was he able to
Yeah.
speak? Some
I
random
don't-
judge allow him?
I don't know, but Donald Trump. I didn't see RFK Jr.'s speech, but I saw Donald Trump's speech. It was about 30 minutes in front
you
of
know
the whole
why
convention.
you saw Donald Trump's speech and why you see 5 million stories about that speech this morning, JJ, that I didn't read
Why?
one of them, but I read the headlines to every one of them.
I
And the
watched
headlines to
the
every
whole
one of
speech,
them.
not just a 10-second clip. But go ahead.
The headlines to every one of them was like if somebody typed it into, it's like they typed a headline into AI and said, rewrite this 50 times. And that's every headline you read. How
So-
are you not surprised is what I want to say. That's my
Not
only
surprised.
question.
No,
How are you
this
not
is-
surprised that
it's
Donald Trump is
never-
going to get booed by some libertarians?
Oh, see, that's not it. Okay, so first of all, that's a trick. That's fake news, right? The story is like, oh, Donald Trump booed by libertarians. The libertarians boo everybody. They boo, they cheer, they boo their own candidates when they don't like stuff. They're just rowdy. They're like a bunch of wild feral cats. Okay, so the news story is that this is the first time that a major two political candidate has ever gone to the Libertarian Party and said, hey, join us. We have overlapping values. Join us. Now, Donald Trump was basically trying to say, hey, look, you libertarians can keep voting for libertarian candidate for president and get your 3% a year or whatever, or you can vote for me and we can free Ross Ulbricht and you can get a Libertarian Party candidate at the federal level in the cabinet, and you can actually make a difference, and we can all get together stop Joe Biden from destroying this country. And of course, some of the libertarians are booing and some of them are cheering. So now you only get the context of this if you watch the whole thing, because if you watch the little clips that you see on media, it just looks like, oh, libertarians hate Trump. Well, yeah, some of them do and some of them don't. So now the libertarians that I was talking to over the weekend on Twitter, I was like, this is a pretty good deal. Instead of getting 100% of nothing with your 3% vote, you guys could get a cabinet level position in the White House if you support Trump. That's a pretty good deal. And they're like, no, we want the vice president. And I'm like, the libertarians want Trump to give the vice presidency to the libertarians. Like, you guys are so dumb. So of course they voted against it.
Of course.
What happened? Do you know who Ross Ulbricht is? Because that's the thing that matters the most, I guess, to the libertarians.
No.
And I know you
No.
don't. Okay.
Is he a baseball pitcher for the Braves?
Have you ever heard of the Silk Road?
Yes.
So the Silk Road was this.
Wait a minute. Which Silk Road? Is this
Right,
something
okay.
new, or is this the actual 5,000-year-old road?
Yeah, we're not talking
Asia.
about the 5,000-year-old one through Kandahar. No, we're talking about this. Silk Road was about 10, 12, 15 years ago. A very smart kid, Ross Ulbricht, probably 20 at the time, very smart kid, created a website on the dark web or whatever. I don't know if it was on the dark web or not, but it allowed smart people to buy and sell stuff to each other, with
the
security.
Silk Road, what it was
Yes.
named after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, bad guys got up in there and were like, oh, this is great. People can't track us. We're going to sell drugs. We're going to sell murder. We're going to sell all kinds of horrible things. So the Silk Road became a place where bad things were being sold. But that's not
Now
necessarily
that
what
you
Ross Ulbricht
describe
did.
this, yes, I have heard of it before,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a while.
So
But I remember hearing, yeah,
Ross Ulbricht has been in prison for 11 years because of the Silk Road. And, you know, like he's guilty of making a place where people could freely exchange stuff. And when you allow a place where people can freely do stuff, some people are going to do the bad stuff. And he took the hit. He took the fall for it. So the libertarians are like, look, free Ross. Like he didn't hire anybody to murder anybody. He didn't do anything like that. So
that always happens to everything, though. Anytime that we have created on the internet, because we've been alive through the whole freaking thing. So think back, every time somebody has created something that allows you to speak freely, like you said, bad people take advantage of it, and then they use that as a means to shut it down. Because as bad as you want to think 4chan was, because it was pretty bad, that's what it was initially invented for, was a free exchange of information. And I honestly say that is TikTok right now. Of course, bad people are using TikTok and they're using it for mindless things, but there is a free exchange of information that goes through on TikTok, and it's immediate. And I don't think they like that. Some of the gardening groups and some of these, there are a lot of gardening groups is what they are. I got a lot of conspiracy stuff, but I've joined these and I follow these gardening pages and stuff, these natural remedy type people, because I come from that crap. Ashley's dad made a plantain tincture that he would rub. It would cure anything. And it was from plantains in the yard. And he swore by it. And, you learn all these things like, oh, dandelions are really not a weed. They have a lot of healing properties, But why in the hell would they want you to know that a dandelion that grows in your yard has so many freaking healing properties when they continue to want you to buy their medicine, go to their doctors? So what do? They call it a weed and sell you poison to spray on it and convince you to pull it up out of your yard so it won't grow anymore. So, I mean, it's a free exchange of information that, just like you said, that is.
Well,
sorry, I went off on one of my little.
No, you're good. You're good.
Rabbit.
No, I was just surprised how stupid libertarians are, because I always kind of thought, like, these are the guys that are like, open-minded and thinking about things. No, libertarians are just like this, just like everybody else. So that was my
just like everybody
my
else, but they're just like everybody else. There are good, they're good ones and they're crazy ones. There's some conservatives. There's some conservatives that we're all like, dude, will you shut up?
Can you
just please quit talking because you're making us all look bad.
I just don't understand. If you can imagine the reality where the Libertarian Party said, you know what, for this election, we're going to back our Libertarian candidates, but for president, we're going to back Donald Trump because he is fighting against the establishment. And in one moment in history, the Libertarians could lift themselves out of local PTA election level, wins and move into the national spotlight. But
I think you're right on that.
Instead, they're like, no, we're gonna elect this guy that like is totally for masks and trans stuff. So
I think you might be. I think you might be onto something there. I think that if this was completely changed, I think that you're right, that it would elevate them from this local crap to maybe actually having a legitimate third party choice.
I mean, this was the moment. It's never going to be like this again. Anyway. All right. Anyway, so I hope that some of the libertarians out there that are free thinking will, weigh their choices, but we'll see. And by the way, let me just say this one more time. Are Republicans the good guys? No. No, but are Democrats the bad guys? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, for sure they are. Yeah. And now we also know who the losers are. The losers, like dedicated losers, 100%. All right. Okay. Anyway, the Libertarian Party instead chose a guy named Chase Oliver to be their candidate. Chase Oliver is totally for It doesn't matter. As soon as I stop saying the sentence, you're going to forget his name because he doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What?
All right. Chase Oliver. Chase
Jeff
Oliver,
Olivier? Is
Libertarian
that who you
presidential
said?
candidate.
Jeff
Who?
Olivier?
What? Yeah, right. Doesn't matter. Moving on.
Chad Sexton?
The Trump hush money trial, the verdict is probably going to happen tomorrow. Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that. It's probably going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what it's going to be because the jury is a jury.
I know
and
what
they
it's
get to
gonna
decide
be.
what jury to
I know what it's going to be.
The jury's a jury in New York, so you never know what they're going to do. But regardless, the Biden White House plans to address the Trump trial verdict. Deke is the fix-in, has the game big rigged against Donald Trump.
Look, I don't want to say anything, but if
Yeah.
you got a guy in Las Vegas, you may want to call him.
Oh, you got odds on this one.
What are the odds on Trump coming back guilty? What you got on that?
Why?
Down for 50.
If there was any uncertainty, let me just say it this way: if there was any uncertainty in the Biden White House about how this conviction could go, they would probably wait until the actual verdict before making a national address.
But what they're relying on is the uneducated American is what they're relying on. So let's say there's about at least 70% of people that are uneducated in judicial proceedings. Okay. Uneducated in judicial proceedings. How many?
Okay.
At least 70% are probably don't.
I bet.
No, they probably just know the top layer. They don't know any of the other layers. So it doesn't matter if it comes back as guilty tomorrow, which it very well will.
Yeah.
There's already been like a dozen things that's been said in this trial that could get it,
Oh yeah, no, look, it'll be overturned. This is
yes.
The judge is completely compromised. His daughter
judge
made
is
$93 million.
corrupt. His daughter. Stormy Daniels has said a couple of things. Michael Cohen has said a couple of things. There's been several things that's been like, well, y'all don't worry about this because we know what's going to happen.
The prosecution summary hasn't been done yet. It'll be done tomorrow or whatever. The prosecution summary is going to go something like this. Don't listen to any of our witnesses. Our witnesses were bad. Just look at the records, and then Trump did something wrong, so just convict him as guilty. That's going to be the prosecution closing arguments. Don't listen to our witnesses. They were terrible, and they lied a lot. No. Biden plans to use White House setting to address Trump trial verdict. According to a report, Biden plans to address the public regardless of whether Trump is convicted, acquitted, or the jury is found unable to agree on a verdict. So, that the team Biden with their dementia-addled, like brain-dead president, they're like, we are so far behind in everything. We are doing such a terrible job. The only chance we have is that there's an opportunity to say the felon Donald Trump. They're just waiting to say federally convicted or state convicted felon.
By God, that's what he needs is a freaking nickname like Snake Plissken, the felon
Snake
Trump. Oh my Plissken, the snake Donald Trump.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Or the felon.
Yeah.
Who'd you vote for? I voted for the felon. Who'd you vote for?
Yes. Yes. OG Trump.
And then he's going to gain all this respect from this whole other people that are going to be like, dude, get a teardrop tattoo. If Trump got a teardrop tattoo and came in on a motorcycle,
no, he would never do
President
that.
Camacho,
he would never do that. Oh, can I just say one more thing about the Libertarians? Have you seen? You know what the Libertarian logo is?
Hang on,
do you know what it is? It's this thing in the corner here. It's this torch with like illegal or whatever. Can you imagine if Trump had sold the Libertarians on this idea that they should vote for Trump and they replaced this eagle thing with just Trump's hair? Trump hair wave. That would be awesome. They should have done that. All right. And I know Deke didn't hear any of that. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay.
Hope your show's wrapping up soon.
All right. Let's go with some more. Oh, something's wrong. Everything's going wrong. You know what? We've already done Rappaport and his little stuff before.
Get dressed.
My kids are scruffling with each other. Supreme Court of the United States Justice Sotomayor says that she cries from sadness after some ruling. You stay right there. Get dressed. Okay. She cries from sadness after some Supreme Court rulings. Is she fit to serve on the Supreme Court? Can you hear me?
Crybaby Sotomayor.
Crybaby Sotomayor. Let's see what she says.
That I've come to. If not physically, we must devote our lives. Mind you, there are days that I've come to my office after an announcement of a case and closed my door and cried. There have been those days, and there are likely to be more. There are moments when I'm deeply, deeply sad. And there are moments when, yes, even I feel desperation.
Okay, pause this for a second.
We all do.
Can I show you? Can I point out something that she's?
Sure.
We all do that.
Right.
We all cry when we get extremely sad. We all have tough days. So what she's doing is trying to pull your heartstrings.
That's a rhetorical argument.
In radio, I called them. I would say I got a teddy bear story for you. My teddy bear stories were the stories that they are going to get the listener completely engaged in listening to you because it's such a heartstring pulling story that all I have to do is just kind of slow down my voice and kind of read it like this a little bit. And that automatically brainwashes you a certain way.
Soothing you.
So what she's doing is she's using a very common tactic to
But you have to own it. You have to accept it.
Just drivel to me.
You have to shed the tears, and then you have to wipe them and get up
Oh, Jesus
and
Christ.
fight
Thank
some
you.
more.
No one in the world has ever
So-
given the information that when you fall down, you get it back up again. You're never going to leave me down. When I get knocked down, I get up again.
So,
You're never going to keep me down.
are we supposed to have Supreme Court justices that are fighting for things like, being activists? Is that
That's a good point.
Is that what we're supposed to have, Miss Sotomayor? I thought you guys were supposed to rule impartially according to the laws not the laws that you make up on the bench, the laws that we eventually convince our Congress people to pass.
But unfortunately, they do make up laws right there,
Right.
too.
They do. They have their own policy preferences. All right. Hey, you're never going to believe this, Deacon.
I never believe
according
a lot of things
to-
you say, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's me too.
All right, go. According to Zero Hedge, there's a report on Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden, which I didn't know. He actually wrote stories, but check it out. Tyler Durden wrote this one. The CIA, you're never going to believe it. The CIA was trying to manipulate our social media system, according to the newest edition of Twitter Files. The CIA.
This is the first I've ever heard of this, JJ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Normally it's the NSA or the FBI, but turns out the CIA was into it too. The CIA is strictly prohibited from spying on or running clandestine operations against Americans. That is not their mandate. on U.S. soil. A new bombshell Twitter file report reveals that a member of the board of trustees at InQtel, the CIA mission-driven venture capital firm, along with former intelligence community and CIA analysts, were involved in a massive effort in 21 to 22 to take over Twitter's content management system. What's that?
I've already
What's that?
thought of 2 different ways that you could get around this. So keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. According to thousands of pages of Twitter files and documents, those efforts were part of a broader strategy to manage how information is disseminated and consumed on social media under the guise of combating misinformation and foreign propaganda efforts. This complex and government-linked individuals and organizations has gone to great lengths to suggest that narrative control is a national security issue.
Let me tell you,
it's not safe for the government if they can't control what you think about the government.
Let me tell you something that I think about when I watch these TikTok and Facebook videos sometimes, because my algorithm gets all this crazy conspiracy stuff. Because if you will go over here to right above JJ's head and click that nice little QR code, you can go to our Discord server and go to the Deconspiracy Theories channel. I've got you like that? That's nice.
Nice hat.
Deconspiracy Theories channel, and I got some stuff in there that makes JJ go, Deacon is a lunatic. Why am I doing a show with this man every morning? So, but
it makes me realize there's a fine line between what I consider like that is dubious information, but might be true, and what you look at and be like, that is dubious information, but it might be true.
So, the only thing that I will post over there, I won't post it because there are many that I will watch. And what I'm getting at is there's many of those videos that I will watch that I will think I will have this. It's just a feeling that I don't get it on all the videos, but every once in a while I'll get a feeling I'm like, this is designed to either spread misinformation or to, it's got an ulterior motive. This one is not one where someone is really trying to be like, dude, I saw this weird thing and look and blah, blah, blah. There's some of them that I'm like, this one is it's either too good. The person it's either too real. Sometimes the real ones to me they don't seem real.
Sometimes they're too produced. Or sometimes they will talk really like they will talk and talk and talk and talk and they won't actually get to a effing point, and they'll just because they're trying to keep you there just a minute longer. And
but a tactic to lying is to not really have a script. Okay, you've got your bullet points, but you can continue to say what you need and get all the pieces of information in there, but it's not going to be in the exact same order every time, but you're always going to have the pieces of information. You know what I mean? So they'll do that sometimes, and you'll see. And what I'm just getting at is there's some videos that I think I always have that little birdie in my mind saying, I wonder if this one is like a CIA video completely there to spread misinformation. Because, they hired a bunch of those UFO guys for a long time that they found out a lot of them were that were talking about UFOs, grays and all this. And they were hired by the CIA. They were hired by these 3-letter companies, organizations to specifically spread this information.
It's possibly UFOs. You guys should really look into that.
If you had a piece of information that accidentally got out that you didn't want it to get out, but it was going to get out, one of the best ways, besides just completely denying it forever, one of the best ways is admitting it but changing the narrative so that if it's X, you're like, but but you're changing it. You focus them on something else.
Similar garbage that is obviously fake, and you're like, all of this stuff is fake.
Yeah, so that's why I watch those.
Check this out.
Yeah.
The longtime intelligence community contractor and senior Department of Defense R&D official who spent years developing technologies to detect whistleblowers like Snowden and WikiLeaks leakers. It included proposed head of DHS Disinformation Board, Nina Jankowicz. Remember her? Oh, you remember Scary Poppins? She was involved in this. Yep.
Oh,
and FBI Jim Baker, FBI General Counsel, who helped start Russiagate. So the CIA was trying to manage the content information on social media, specifically Twitter, because this is the Twitter files. CIA, a bunch of spooks, along with Scary Poppins and the guy that literally started Russiagate. That's all hoax and BS. These people are trying to feed you garbage trash so they can control us. We should defund the CIA. Who's in favor of defunding the CIA?
I'd just like to point out once again, I'm Deacon, and that is JJ.
Oh, man.
It's
Why don't you leave me hanging here, dude?
Hey, brother, I'll help you move your refrigerator, but if you've got problems with the CIA,
They don't know who I am.
know you.
Right.
I don't know you.
This is this sufficiently
It stands
anonymous?
for
I don't know if this is
Jefferson
sufficiently
Jehoshaphat
anonymous.
Wellington. Jefferson
Yes, that's
Jehoshaphat
right. That sounds
Wellington
right.
the Third.
Oh, man. Listen, if anything happens to me, I didn't do it to myself. Hey,
I got some
speaking
cool
of
stories if
national,
you're done with your
we're
crap.
almost done. I had a post here from Owen Gregorian. I don't know if you know this or not, but according to a Navy commander, we're seeing attempts by foreign nationals to get into our military bases only 2 or 3 times per week. Per week. On Friday's broadcast on Fox News Channel's American Newsroom, U.S. Fleet Forces Commander Admiral Daryl Cottle. Cottle? How would you? Is that Daryl Cottle? Stated that attempted penetrations of military bases by foreign nationals is happening more and more. This is something we probably see 2 or 3 times a week, and we're stopping these folks at the gate. We covered a story like this twice in the last couple of weeks. One was, I think, in Virginia, where
Brian posted them. Brian Perkins is the one that pointed out this to us. He was like, look at this. This is a couple of times this has happened. There was another story that I read. I wish I would have found it and put it in our notes. Story that I read and saw the news thing over the weekend that was this guy was putting these stories together, that there was this special forces commander that was attacked at his house, and he killed the attacker, and the 2 attackers were working. They had been spying on him. They were from Russia or somewhere. They were Russians. He killed one of them. They had been taking pictures of his property from an adjacent property that was owned by this company that was started 3 years ago by this Russian guy. And this company on their website and stuff says that they do it's just a bunch of bullshit terms to basically say spying. They really don't define what they do on their website. But this company owned this section of land and all this stuff and whatnot. So he was putting all this stuff together because it was around. But he was like, these people it was a special forces commander, like the special forces.
I want to see
the commander of those guys.
This story is juicy.
Yeah, I wish I would have put it down. Let me see if I can.
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe that'd be a good one for tomorrow. You guys could show up again. Good morning, everybody. Yeah. Rumble.com/internetdads or youtube.com/internetdads. That's us. You can be here tomorrow.
The @ symbol.
You do have to do the @ symbol because I don't know how to do the other way.
It's the letter A and then the letter T.
No, stop that. It's in the description below, Deacon. All right. So only 2 or 3 times a week we have he's checking his butt. I got one more political thing here. Do you know the United States Transportation Secretary?
Yeah. We had dinner last week.
Did you? That's kind of gay.
Yeah, Taco Bell,
yeah.
Nothing special.
Pete Buttigieg cannot explain why we have spent $7.5 billion and we have only built 7 or 8 electric vehicle charging stations.
Dude, let me tell you why. It's because every time we put up one of those damn EV charging stations, some hoodlum cuts the cord and gets the copper
That's a good point.
So we've only been able to retain like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
this point.
So, according to I saw a clip here. Here it is. This is a little bit funny. Let me do this. Let me switch to this one instead. Oh, that's climate change. Sorry. He also thinks that all of our plane crashes are caused by climate change.
You're probably right. That's why the planes.
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of
electricity.
federal
You can't
investment.
just
But
airdrop
we've been
it
working
in?
with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work,
7 or
engaging
8,
them
though?
in the first handful.
Do you believe anything that guy's face says?
No, that was a setup question that he was given before. He never even thought about the answer.
Yeah,
He
no, he recited
immediately answered.
Yeah.
But what he did was he didn't answer. The first thing out of his mouth was some rhetoric.
Yeah.
Our
Bullet,
Biden administration wants to blah 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 blah, and then he goes into normal you know, in order for us to go, we have to hire trucks, and trucks have to drive down the highway,
Right.
and then they have to beep the horn to get people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So at the end of this
What
clip,
he's basically saying is that we have to give a bunch of money to the states, and then the states do that.
Yeah.
So let me explain what happens. There's
Tesla's
a bunch of
already
money.
done all this.
There's a bunch of money allocated for EV stations. Pete and his buddies get a cut, and then they send the rest to each individual states. Now, the people in those states, them and their buddies get a cut, and then they hire their other buddies to do this job. And their other buddies are like, well, hell, I've already got the money for this job. I'm going to take this other job because they really don't care how long it takes for me to do this job. I'm going to take this job and make money on it now because I can send 2 or 3 guys out to this job and say, we're working on it.
Yeah, we got a long deadline.
Welcome to
We're
the
good on this
real
one.
world, people. Welcome to the real world.
All right, so here's the last Pete Buttigieg story. Apparently, he also blames the deadly airplane turbulence on the effects of climate change. My immediate thought is, based on what? Based on what are you saying this? Other than you can claim that there's climate change for, I don't know. We have fucking weather. We have fucking weather caused by the sun.
The effects of climate change are already upon us in terms of our transportation. We've seen that in the form of everything from heat waves that shouldn't statistically even be possible, threatening to melt the cables of transit systems in the Pacific Northwest, to hurricane seasons becoming more and more extreme, and indications that turbulence is up by about 15%.
Bullshit.
I think I got dumber listening to that.
Yeah,
we don't have long left.
We're done. We're done. Yes, let's do cool stuff.
All right. Here's some cool stuff for you.
I'm deleting all of these.
So in 1960, this tomb was found in this village in southern Greece. And something really cool was found. It had been a botched tomb robbery, and they got some stuff, but something really cool was found. This really unusual set of armor was found, Greek armor, and they had never seen a set of armor like this before. And they could not decide, for years, they could not decide if this was ceremonial armor or if it was actually used in combat. Let me bring up a picture of this armor here for you. And they could not look how strange that looks. All right. So they could not decide whether it was ceremonial or combat armor. Well, it took them a while before somebody got the brilliant idea of, why don't we put it on somebody and try it out? So they got a bunch of Grecian military Marines or whatever, and Hellenic 13 Hellenic Marines, and they donned this armor. They rebuilt this armor and donned it. And it was pretty cool, dude. They could do everything in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we have any video or anything like that?
Okay,
so that's a map of the tomb. There's a map of the tomb there. And then there's an image gallery, which if you click on the gallery, you're just going to get the, I don't know what that, like a map of where it is.
Yeah, that was the map of the tomb.
Yeah. So there's this one shot of the guy standing flat-footed in a metal skirt. Honestly, it looks kind of cool, but it also looks a little bit like something you'd see in like a Japanese like Final Fantasy game or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
kind of true. Yeah, you're very right on that. But it said this is formatted different on here. They said that they were the researchers also recreated a diet for the men and ancient Greek fighting techniques based on writing of the poet Homer and the Iliad. No one knew exactly. Let's see. The team took into account the climate and terrain of the Trojan Wars. The researchers were looking for evidence that someone under realistic conditions could carry out sustained combat in the armor. What they found was that the volunteers could march and fight in hit and run maneuvers typical of the time on foot or with chariots with no more stress than a fit man of an average 29 years could be expected to suffer, and that the armor allowed for a practical level of mobility and protection. Isn't that cool?
So
I just think it's cool, man.
They reinvented fighting techniques based on what Homer said. Let me ask you a question. Who is the most popular author in the world in the 21st century? Most. Okay. So in 3,000 years, if stop.
Oprah Winfrey.
In 3,000 years, when all of humanity has forgotten that there was an America or a Russia or anything like that, and they do this, and they're like, "Hey, we found something. We're gonna use the writings of the era's most popular writer."
And everybody carves a lightning bolt in their head.
Yeah, they got everybody picks up a stick and they alakazam or whatever they do. I don't know.
All right, so I got another one here for you, JJ. Do you ever? I know you worry about things for your family and whatnot, but
yeah.
How often does keeping you up as a dad, as an internet dad, how often at night do you stay awake worrying about space debris falling into your house?
I'm honestly planning on installing a skylight so I can just watch the sky and make sure nothing's falling.
Well, you need to. Space junk is falling down, and there's some Canadians that are saying, "Hey, who's going to pay for this, eh?"
Nobody.
So yeah, no, that's consensus. Space debris from a SpaceX spacecraft landed on a Saskatchewanian farmer's field. I love this. I just wanted to read this because of what the dude said.
All right.
That farmer is Barry Sawchuk, and though some might be surprised, he said he's just going with the flow. It is what it is. It's just another day, another thing, he said with a shrug. Fucking Canadians.
Walk out to go farming, rocket falls in your yard. What are you going to do about that? Just roll with the punches.
That's what he's doing.
Gosh. How big was the space junk?
I don't remember.
We're talking like big. It must have been. There's no photos. Listen, internet a-holes, when you write an interesting story, can you find one photo?
It's the size of a door, eh?
Oh, I can't see that video. I'm not pushing that red button. Wow.
Oh, you're not looking at it?
Really is it? Oh, I'm seeing it on screen, yeah. Wow, dude. He's lucky it missed like all of his expensive stuff.
What's he say?
Garbage and...
Oh, yeah, no, I want to hear him.
Just look like garbage, and we get closer and closer, and what is it? It's not garbage.
Photos of the debris led to an astronomy professor working with a colleague to determine the junk was likely linked to a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft that returned to Earth in February.
This is not uncommon, and as we launch more and more stuff, these re-entries, hitting stuff on the ground.
Yes, we know, Samantha. We know how gravity works.
I thought the whole like SpaceX thing was that we shoot the rockets up and then they come back down and we're not losing parts of them.
Well, shit happens. Sorry, stuff happens. Okay, another one here. Before we get into some Hollywood news here, real quick, I wanted to talk about this one because this one's I've done this before, and I'm not doing it anymore. You ever be standing there with your buddies and y'all are like standing there and whatnot, and you're kind of close to the edge of something, or your buddy's close to an edge of something, and you what I do is I grab them and pull them back, because in the second of grabbing them, you just kind of push forward a little bit, and it freaks them out like you're trying to push them.
Are we talking about at the edge of a canyon?
Not like the edge of a canyon, but like the edge of something you ever kind of like you're going to push your buddy or whatnot.
All right.
Don't do that shit anymore.
No.
No, this dude was accidentally killed when his buddy did that to him.
Hey,
at this
look.
golfing range. They were there. They were drinking. There was they ruled it. What did they rule it? They ruled it as something weird. But basically, that's what happened. They were up there. They were drinking. His buddy did that. The guy slipped. The groom. Before groom. No, it wasn't the groom. It was groom. A guy named Groom.
Oh, okay.
Connor Groom. He fell. It broke his spine, and he had a brain injury, and he ended up dying like a month later. Yeah,
man.
And his buddy was just like devastated. So
that's well.
Don't do that crap.
Don't push people off of the side of a building. Have you ever been to one of these putting places? Don't
do I look
do
like
this,
a golfer
guys.
to you?
No. I feel what's that place called? There's a place down here. I've been down there once.
All right, I got one more story here for you before we can do something.
Okay.
We can go over today if you want to. I don't have anything. So
Yeah, okay.
JJ,
Just a minute. I got a nuclear story you might like.
Okay. So picture this in your mind. A sleepy English town, a sleepy English village.
Okay.
Very
All right.
small English village. All right. It's
All
got
right.
some dark woods. You've got people, kind of
Okay.
milling about and whatnot. And as you
Yeah.
get further and further into the village, the woods are looming. You're getting closer and closer to the dark woods. And you start hearing rustling in the leaves. And you hear and then pretty soon you hear and then
What the hell?
and then all of a sudden you hear there's hundreds of feral chickens that are tormenting
Where chickens?
your village. Where chickens? This
Oh my
is
God.
not a fiction story, ladies and gentlemen. The residents of Snittensham, Norfolk say the birds are destroying their gardens. So there's hundreds of feral chickens that live in these towns and these woods next to this town. And some of these residents are saying their life is being made hell as the chickens swarm in from the nearby wood. It's unclear who owns the land. People say that there's that people are leaving food out for the chickens, and the chickens are attracting rats. But then you have other people in the town, like Rod McKenzie, the parish counselor, said they're a pain in the butt, but if they come into your garden, they dig up everything. It's just not for the food. It's not just the food for the chickens that brings rats too. Ben King, who lives on the street, says they're out of control. There's not just one or two. If someone came and moved them, I'd buy them a big beer. However, Gareem McQuaid has lived on the lane for 18 months after moving. Says, I have no issues with the chickens whatsoever. Before we moved here, we didn't know chickens get up at 4 a.m., but it gives character to the place. A dog walker who did not wish to be named added, people in the new houses are moaning about them, but they've been here for such a long time, and there's more important things going on in the world than a few chickens. They should get a life. I want to be friends with that guy.
Dude.
Oh, I just thought that was a
Man.
funny story. Feral chickens, and then some of the English guys, the old English guys.
Weird. All right. So here is hold on. We got I asked Bing, Copilot, to generate a English were chicken for us. So here we go. English were chicken. What do you think of this?
Not bad.
Make it bigger. Can I make it bigger? How do I make it
You
bigger?
got a man in the moon.
Yeah, I know.
It's got 2 moons, 3 actually.
Yeah. Here, back. I got a couple of options. Here's one. Look at
That
this.
one's even better.
We can write a story about a man who turns to.
That's the best. Save that.
I was hoping that there would be something we could put on a shirt. Internet dads wear chickens.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Look at his nose. Can you see these?
No.
It's a little slow.
English
wear chickens. You only get that on your internet dad show. Only. That's
we can
exclusive.
talk about the Alec Baldwin thing tomorrow, but I did want to mention
dude.
entertainment.
That's
In
amazing.
entertainment news, JJ, Morgan Spurlock died.
Oh no.
You know,
Okay,
Morgan
so I know
Spurlock?
Morgan Spurlock, and our audience probably knows him as well, though they may have forgotten his name. This is the man who ate all of the McDonald's about 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Hello, may I help you? Yeah, could I get the double quarter pounder with cheese meal?
Large or supersize?
I think I'm gonna have to go supersize.
Oscar nominated. So if you never watched Super Size Me, I was talking to my dad about it. And he'd never watched it. I was like, it's very interesting. And I was telling him that was one of the rules. It's like he got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but one of the rules that he had to follow was he never upgraded unless they asked him. If they asked
And they always asked him.
Well, most of the time they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time. So so surprisingly, the guy that ate McDonald's food for 30 days has eventually died of cancer. Years and years later, he died of cancer.
Now, he was vegan. So except for this Super Size Me stunt, I believe that he basically went vegan, and it was vegan.
You are ruining my McDonald's joke, dude. Like straight up
sorry.
ruining my joke.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't know that. I forgot about that. But yeah, he was vegan. It just goes to show you that you could eat all meat and I could eat all vegetables, and we both could probably die and never smoke a cigarette in our life, and we could probably both die of lung cancer.
That's true.
It's very true.
Cancer is an asshole. It's an asshole.
Mm-hmm. There's ways to cure it, though.
All right. Here's my last story of the day. There is a technology for slashing nuclear power plant waste from a Swiss company. It's called nuclear, transmutation.
Ooh.
Sounds like a D&D spell.
That is a D&D spell, transmutation. I think
Nuclear
it's like divination.
Oh.
No, sorry.
Nuclear transmutation can cut highly radioactive waste by 80%. Switzerland has endorsed a long sought after technology, nuclear transmutation, to dramatically reduce the amount of nuclear waste from atomic power plants. NAGRA, the Swiss national body that manages nuclear waste, said that it had spent several months exploring the method proposed by a Geneva-based startup, Transmutex, and it concluded that the technology could cut the volume of waste by 80%.
There's actually like a parasite or a bacteria or an algae or something that they've found over in Russia that is feeding off of that Chernobyl waste and stuff. They've found this microscopic.
That sounds like
I don't
something
remember what
we
it
need.
was, but it was something that has turning this. You know how we found that there's that whatever that eats the plastic. You know, it will eat styrofoam and plastic and
right. So
it's interesting.
We need that. So, I mean, okay. So like the biggest problem is that like, oh, you have to store radioactive waste for like 100,000 years. When they get done with this Transmutex thing, would they take like a nuclear reactor or a particle accelerator or something, and they zap the isotopes or something like that, and they have it down to like, oh, it's 1,000 years. So we can build a facility that can last 1,000 years. Probably we're not building anything that lasts 100,000 years, but we can maybe build something that can last 1,000 years, so we can reduce the volume, make it not as toxic for as long, and then it might become a solvable problem. Wouldn't that be neat? Okay,
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, let's do nuclear power.
AI won't let us get that far, though. I mean, hello, sorry.
The CIA won't let us get that far, you said. All right. You got any songs of the day?
No, I don't.
What's our theme?
Actually.
We don't have a theme this week?
You know what? Let's do we can do here at 10 o'clock. I always do songs for Memorial Day.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Let's make the song of the day 50,000 Names on the Wall by
50,000 Names on the Wall
by George Jones. All right. So if you've never heard that song before, I'll post it over here in our Discord server here coming up in just a bit. Boom, there it is. Go to our Discord server, but 50,000 Names on the Wall, 50,000 Names by George Jones. It's a song for the Vietnam veterans who were treated like crap when they came back over here, like dirt. And these are old guys now that are in their late 70s and whatnot. My uncle is still alive, and he fought in Vietnam.
The soldiers aren't the bad guys. The leaders are. The leaders are. The politicians are the bad guys.
Yeah. I've got a book from a local guy that he wrote. He came in and talked about it, and I bought his book. And he was a Vietnam veteran, and he said it took him like 30 years before he could even talk about stuff over there. But he had a bunch of pictures and stuff in this book. And some of the pictures were of like the Vietnamese markets and stuff. And some of them are pretty graphic. I mean, there's like dogs on spits, like hairless, like roasted, like scorpions and all that kind of stuff in those pictures.
Good grief.
Yeah. All right. So just remember our Memorial Day guys today, and guys and gals, and the people that sacrificed. And I'll have some more. I'll have some good songs. If you've never heard some of these songs, listen to them. They're pretty moving. I was trying to pick that one off the top of my head because I forgot about music today.
Yeah. Forgot about the music. All right. At the end of the show, every single day, we do jokes, hilarious jokes. That's part of the gig of being internet dads, as we tell internet dad jokes. Deke, what would you do when you get into a jam?
I don't know.
Grab some bread and peanut butter.
Oh, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Yeah. All right. That's fair.
What did Tarzan say when he saw the elephants?
I don't know. What did he say?
Here comes the elephants.
That's terrible. That's worse.
I love that joke. I recently took my elephant that had I took him to the elephant dentist.
Yeah, really?
Did you know where the nearest elephant dentist is in America?
I had no idea. No.
Yeah, it's in Tuscaloosa.
Okay. All right.
Tuscaloosa elephant dentist.
All right.
Come on, people.
All right. Hey, did you see me looking up and cheering at the ceiling and cheering earlier?
No.
Yeah. There's ceiling fans. That's real bad. That's a 10. I'm gonna just draw right through that entire joke. There.
You could use my thesaurus that I have to help you, but it's the world's worst thesaurus. It's not only terrible, but it's terrible. It's bad thesaurus.
Bye.
Terrible.
Politicians and talking heads lying left and right. You can help us bring facts into the light. Don't let your daughter lose her next swim meet to a psychopath dude with fake teeth. Tune in now to your Tune That Show. JJ and Deacon, they're the ones that know. Subscribe quick, the Squid Monster's on the way. Conspire with us, tomorrow's news today. Oh,
Remember, folks, a communist joke isn't funny unless everyone gets it.